the things that I've learned over those years, particularly when it comes to the talks, is you should never plan anything. You should always let it all hang out. You should just put the trust in the spirit world. You should just put the trust that they have a sense and a reasoning for the things that they want to say to you. The only thing I would say to you in the beginning is, I don't have a dialect, you do. So just please remember that. So if there's anything in the vocabulary, it's your fault, not mine. And while I was sitting there trying to convince Alex that he should be doing the talk this morning, I became very much aware of an old story, and some of you may already know that story. It was about a young man in India who was brought up in a very controlled environment, a very elite environment, where he wasn't allowed to go outside. He had servants to look after him. And the only thing he knew about the world outside was looking over the wall from high up to see what was going on. And he was always very curious. And as soon as he got the opportunity, guess what? He escaped. Just like you do when you go to Disneyland. As parents, you form an escape committee to get out of there. He decided he was going to escape. And he did escape. And he escaped because he wanted to learn about the world that he was living in. Because he saw all these riches inside, in this what you might call golden cage. But he also saw a lot of the poverty outside, and he wanted to try to understand the world he was living in. So out he goes into the community, into his own village. He starts there. He starts to walk around. He starts to learn a little bit about life. He mixes with different people from different backgrounds. And then he decides to, within his own way, to get a job, unheard of when you're a rich kid. But he gets a job of being a boatman, that he's down by the river and he's transporting people back and forward over this river with a boat. And he comes to learn that when he's transporting people, he's getting to know all about the stories, all about their lives, all about their happinesses, their unhappinesses. And before he realizes it, the years go by, but his knowledge kept accumulating. His knowledge kept accumulating because he was involved with life and with people. No longer in that golden cage, but in the world of people. And that story always, and he did that and did that. And that story always stayed with me because it reminds us of what our job is in life. Our job is not to sit in an isolated golden cage or an apartment in New York where the kitchen's been needing done for the last 15 years. But to get, sorry, does that ring a bell? But is to get out of that golden cage and get into the world that we live in and be involved with the people that we live with and try to understand. Not in any way to make judgments of them, because none of us are in a position where we can make a judgment of it, but more to try to understand the differences and try to be aware that those differences don't make those people bad. They just make them different. Now, I had, what was I doing? Oh, you're all in me one. And I learned in this story that sharing is care. I just thought I'd say that. That's called inspirational speaking. Yeah, I don't know where it's been. But the point I want to make is that within our lives, we should try to overcome as best as we can our prejudices. Our prejudices to people, our prejudices in their lives. And I learned this more when I went to places like Germany, because there's a history in Germany with Second World War and all those kind of things. And so somebody coming from Britain always has the idea that German people are bad people, that they've done bad things. And of course they have. But they're also people. They're also people who we don't know. If we were in the same situation, would we do the same thing when we've no choice? We don't. But what I do know is that the energy associated with it is an energy that we've got to overcome. We've got to overcome our thinking about things. We've got to push aside our thoughts and our dislikes. And it's very easy to love and like the people we love. Very difficult to love the people we don't like. But where is the greater lesson for us to be found? Is it to be found in just doing the things that we can do? Or is the lessons to be found in overcoming the things that we can do? And as a result of it, we progress within ourselves. And I know when I first came to the States, and John spoke about this actually yesterday, I spent 25 years or so coming to the States, only go to California. Why did I only go to California? Because I didn't like the idea of food. I just didn't. It was like, I don't want to go to the East Coast. But I like California. So guess what? My priority in California, San Francisco, LA, San Diego, Big Sur, all that kind of stuff. And you have got great hot dog from Casper's Workshops. Casper's with the sea. So I've made judgment about a race of people that I should never have done. And then you come across people like Sharon, and she's saying to me, you should come to the East Coast. And I'm saying, why the heaven you, I'm using nice words, why the heaven do I want to go to the East Coast? There's nothing but there. She said, not in a way, you don't know that, you come. And so I started to come to the East Coast. And now, having experienced you folks, I have another opinion about the East Coast that I didn't have before. And the only thing that's constant in life is change. That's the only thing that's constant. And we've got to be prepared to meet change and to manage change on a daily basis. Not to fix ourselves with an idea that that is the way it is and nothing else. But to be prepared to look at our lives and say, what else is there? What else is possible? Can I adjust? If you'd said to me as a kid, I'm still a kid at heart, but if you said to me as a kid that I would go and live in Switzerland, I thought you were nuts. Because up until the age of about 18, not 19, up until the age of about 18 years of age, I'd never left Scotland. I'd never been out of my home area. I'd never even gone to that place called England. But I just had never had the experience of travel. And then my grandmother, who was here, said, well, you're going to travel all around the world. And I looked at my grandmother, I loved her, and I respected her. I thought she was nuts. I couldn't imagine. We didn't have all the money. The idea of the cost of an airplane fare was out with the range. How would we ever manage to do it? And guess what? Life changing. You get the opportunity to do those things. And you get the opportunity to have the experiences of different cultures, different languages, different food styles, all of those kind of things. I'm still looking for the good hot dog here. We haven't made that yet, apart from course. But you get the same hot dog in San Francisco. But you get an opportunity to experience different things. Now, you guys living in Uncle Sam's America, would you agree with me that America today is very cosmopolitan? Lots of different cultures in America now, lots of different languages spoken. You have an opportunity within your own life to experience those things that I had to travel in Europe to. But when you look at those things and you look at those people, the thing that often stood out in my mind in that traveling around the world like a gypsy, I would like a gypsy, always traveling somewhere. I was good for the airline. But the thing I learned most was when I was in Africa. And I worked with people in South Africa. I worked in the village. I worked with the witch doctors and holy men who had the monkey bones and shells, and they were really herbalist, but they threw the stuff on the floor and they gave readings. Sorry, I thought I was disturbing you. But one of the things I learned was these people had nothing. No money. A lot of them had no place to live. They had no expectation. But mostly every day when I worked with them, they had a smile on their face. Because there's no expectation of losing it. Anything they got was a gain. It was not a loss. And some of the best fun I had was with the school children. I tried to be kind of philanthropic in the beginning by taking them out pencils and erasers and pens, all that kind of stuff. Didn't work. The school teachers sold it to the kids. No, that didn't work. So I tried doing things like helping in the development. But you can't give them anything because you isolate them within the community. It's them having more than everybody else. Can't do that. So I kept looking for how could I bring something to these people on this idea. I was working in safari parks where there was no fences, so they don't take offences. And in the middle of the work you could do in the seminars, elephants would walk through, giraffes would walk through, lions would stop for the lions. Lions would walk through. But it's true, they would walk past you. And I would stop doing what I was doing, and I would say to people, enjoy the animals. And then once the animals had passed through, then we continue to do it. But I hit upon this idea of the schools that we would take, trying to remember American what I think it's gazelles, and we would butcher a couple of gazelles, antelope, and we would get big flags of polenta, and we would go to the schools and we would cook it in big oil. We would cook all the animals in big oil. And another big oil drum of polenta. We would be stirring it, if you know how polenta is, not stirring it. We'd be stirring the polenta. And then all these school children would come up with a Tupperware palette. And they would get a piece of meat and some polenta, and the kids with a bowl of it. And you found the only way you can help them was on a daily basis. Because there's no expectation of tomorrow. Give them grain seed to plant. They would eat it. There's no expectation that you plant it, you get more food. It's like it's there, I eat it. We organised the thing for giving the women contraceptives, the pill. What did they do? The birth rate went up. Because they took all the pills at the beginning of the month because they didn't want to take them the rest of the month. So guess what? The birth rate went up. And you do things to help people, but you can only help people within the range of their understanding of how they can. And I know I had to go through all those issues of learning about what you can do, what you can't do. But what I have learned, whether it's out in Africa in the bush, or whether it's in inner city environment, people don't want to help themselves. They've got to have that desire for their own improvement. You can give them a push, you can give them a helping hand, but they've got to have the desire for improvement themselves. And if you see that within anyone, then my advice to you would be practical. What you're doing is you're trying to help them to help themselves. And that should be our objective. And I'm just thinking about Africa, and just think about something that was really funny. Funny for me. I had a student of mine, German, who was blind. She was totally blind. And her mediumship was very good because she was always functioning from within herself. She didn't put outside interference because she was blind. And she decided she wanted to go to Africa. And I said, Africa, I can't see anything. And she says, you don't know what I can see. You don't know what I can. You don't know what I can sense. I can have as much of a good experience. Okay, lesson here. So we took her to Africa. And we're on the farm, and then one day there was a kind of tree house just outside the camp. And she said to me, well, I want to go up in the tree house. So, tree house, I said, I want to go to the tree house. So being the gentleman I am, I took her to the tree house. And thinking about it, I didn't want her to fall because there was a ladder up to the top of the tree. I said to her, you know, if you go up the ladder, I'll come up behind you and make sure that you're okay. And she turned around and said to me, you stupid? And I said, am I stupid? She said, there could be snakes up there. Okay, you go first. So I climbed this ladder and she climbed up it. And we sat in that tree house for about an hour and a half in her world. Said to me, close your eyes. For the next hour and a half, I want you to experience it. And we did. And we were able to smell sound, move. And all this learning. People have a different world. The way that they experience them is different from ours. So don't make judgments. I made judgments about which brought you know, why you want to go to Africa, you can't see anything. I made the wrong judgment. So here's the trick. And you've got to, Alex, are you going to remember this? I'll try. I know you're ready. It's okay. You learn more by listening than by talking. So get into this mode of listening instead of talking. Mediums talk, mediums talk to, let's say, but get into this mode of listening. Listen to what people say. Listen to what people are asking. Be aware of what's in the heart and in mind. And spiritually, the Spirit will guide us to the best. So, stop talking.